In today's video, I'm speaking to Yané Van Der Merwe, who is a Paralympic athlete, and she's competing internationally this year, and she has been for the past 4 years now. You can expect to learn how she was parented from a young age as a child with a disability, how she learned to cope with her disabilities and turn it into a positive, how she was able to pick a sport where she can outperform the rest of the competitors, her training regimes and schedules, inspiring lessons from her journey to becoming a Paralympic athlete, and a lot more. This video is sponsored by DIGI MAG, who can help you with all your advertising needs in and around the area of Secunda. Yané Van Der Merwe.
Yeah.
Welcome to Challenge to Champion. You are the first Olympian on the podcast.
Yeah, first Paralympian. Soon to
Paralympian.
be. But thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor having you
Yeah.
here. And we actually know each other. It's actually quite a while. I thought about this the other day. When was the first Botswana trip? Was it 2016 or 2017?
I think it was 2015. We went on a Botswana trip, and then at 2017 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let me just give a bit of background. Your father is at BMW, the motorcycle department, and we've done 2 Botswana trips on the motorcycles, and you went along with both of them.
Yeah.
How cool was that experience?
No, that trip is so fun. Hopefully we will do a Botswana trip next year again.
I heard so.
So, yeah.
I'm very jealous of that. Yes, but you have a really interesting story and an interesting life, and I think it's interesting in the fact that no one notices that you have a disability. If you don't tell someone, they won't notice. Can you tell me a little bit about your disability?
Yeah, so it's like you said, no one noticed my disability up front. So I was born with a club foot on my right, so meaning my foot was almost turned in a bit. So after multiple operations, first the doctor in Secunda did operations, but he didn't do his work well. So I went...
Secunda is not really known for their doctors.
I don't know why my parents decided on this doctor, but anyways, then I went to a doctor here in Pretoria at the Jacaranda Hospital. That doctor really did everything, fixed the mess. I still have a limb deficiency, so I have no calf muscles or shin muscles or no muscles really below the knee in my right leg. So and I can't move my ankle. So
So you don't have a problem walking or so, but of course with the sports it does affect you quite a lot.
Yeah. So especially my sport, I do discus. So you need your rotation of your ankle, which I don't have. So that's why I'm competing at the Paralympics and not the Olympics.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about how does that classification work? Because disabilities can be very wide-ranging, from people with one arm to people with one leg and missing one arm and one leg. And there's so many different categories. How do they classify it to make it fair in competing?
Yeah, so my classification is F44. So the F just means field event, and you will get a T, which means track event. 44 basically means lower limb deficiency. So we are, I think we are like 11 girls worldwide that has this the same disability. So we are all in the F44 class. But now they have like the blades or the amputees. They compete with us. So they will be like the 64, 63. It just depends on where your leg is amputated. If it's below knee, it's also 64. If it's above knee, it's a 63. That I think it's just to keep the sport fair in a way.
Yeah.
So if
competitive.
If I compete with someone who has an amputated arm, they have a bit of an advantage over me. So
Yeah, and I've watched like a lot of swimming and so on, and they have a massive amount of categories because the amount of differences that people can have. What would the other injuries be of people that compete with you?
Yeah, so you have your visually impaired, which is T 10, 11, and 12. Yeah. No, it's 11, 12, and 13. So 13 is like just a little bit that you can't see, but 11 will be you're fully blind. You have to run with a guide. Then you have your 20, which is a bit mentally not right. I don't know if that's the correct words to say. You have your 35, 6, 7, and 8, which is your cerebral palsy. So somewhere in their life they had an accident or was born not correctly. I don't know what's the words.
Yeah.
So they have like not enough oxygen got to the brain. So there's almost like a glitch in the brain, you can say. And then you have your 40s and 41, which is your dwarf people. And then you have your 42, 3, and 4, which is my classes, which is all leg deficiencies.
Okay.
Then you have 46 and 7, which is arms. So it also is below the elbow or above the elbow. And then 50, 1, 2, 3, and I think 4 is your wheelchair classes. It's just so a lot of the people can still use their arms. A lot of them can't use their arms as well. So there's a lot of classes. I'm not sure how that works. And yeah, your 60s is your blades. 62, 3, and 4 is your amputees then.
Okay. So is it basically you have those categories and then for every event you fall in a certain, in your category, but just with a different event?
Yeah. So my event, specifically discus and shot put, is a combined event. So I think I mentioned earlier, we are like 11 in the world that has low limb deficiency, which falls into that category. So end of 2021, the Paralympics, when it finished in Tokyo, they brought in a new class to say, listen, we don't think it's fair for the amputees with blades to compete with us. So they gave them their own class, which is 64, but we still compete together. So it works on a point system, the RASA system. So
is it like with a handicap in golf?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little summiki they do to see how far you are from your world record. Then you get 900 points, which gives you the top. So then you are first.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, there's also a lot of people that think, like with the blades, are actually an advantage. Like in the 100 meters, I know there was a bit of a conspiracy about letting Oscar Pistorius run with people that are not disabled in any way. But they protested and they said no, because this guy actually has an advantage, not a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, it is definitely like that. But also it's sport specific, I would say. So for someone with a blade, it's basically they have a spring attached to their legs. So for long jump, they have a massive advantage. For 100 meters, I would say it's similar. So they take time to get their momentum. With someone with legs, from the start, they have their momentum and they can just go. So for my event, I would say there's not really a difference. So I compete with people that doesn't have an ankle, so like I do.
Do they then have a prosthesis?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like my ankle can't move, their prosthesis can't move, so it's the same. Yeah, but I think for high jump, definitely it makes a difference. Long jump, all the running events. So for 400, people with a blade have a massive advantage, and they will
outrun. You can't have a calf cramp.
Yeah, they will outrun everyone. So
yeah, I can imagine that, and that's a really difficult thing to try and keep it fair. There's a lot of disputes currently in the world about transgender athletes and all these categories. What can make it fair? Having weight classes, having height classes. You know, there's a lot of difficult categories, but the main thing is you want people to be able, who've put in a lot of work, to be able to perform and to win. I mean, that is of course the aim of doing everything. You want to be able to win in a fair way, and not because someone else is being propelled forward by the rules.
So still to this day, I think the sport won't ever be fair because you see it in some way, I see it in a different way, the panel will see it in a different way. So yeah, it's just you have to do the best you can in your class. I know there's a Paralympian, Mpumi, he still competes, but he, after the Tokyo Paralympics, he protested to say, we can't keep competing with the blades. They have to split the classes to make the blades their own class and for the 44s their own class. Because we used to be one class and competed together, and he does the 100, he doesn't have a chance. Because if they get momentum at like 50 meters, they outrun him. So he was tired of losing, basically. Yeah, and he protested, and they said, okay, it's fine. We have enough male 44s to give them their own 100, and we have enough blades to give them their own 100. So yeah.
Okay, so he actually got what he was asking for.
And now he's like world champ, Paralympic champ in 100 meters. So yeah.
But it makes sense in a lot of ways, because if you have a leg but your muscles are dystrophied or not there, it's not the same as having a blade which simulates having a muscle, because the one literally doesn't have a muscle. But I can just think it's probably a constantly evolving thing.
Yeah.
You need inputs, you need information, you need physical data and examples to be able to improve everything. And as long as you say they are working with you guys to make sure it evolves and it stays fair, then that you can't ask for more than that.
Yeah, no, it is like that. And also, they don't have all the events. Like, let's say with the Olympics, they'll have javelin for everyone, discus for everyone. At the Paralympics, for my class specifically, they don't have javelin. So I started with javelin, and then I had to switch over to discus because they don't have javelin for my class. It's just because worldwide we are only 5 people that compete in javelin. So what competition will you have with just 5 people? So.
And it's probably because they're narrowing the field. You have to have the specific injury, and you have to want to compete in javelin.
Yeah,
so
that's
it narrows
also
it down a lot.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this: how did you get into these field sports? Did you see, listen, I'm quite athletic and I stand a good chance if I try to become a Paralympian? How did you pick a sport to do?
Yeah, so from a young age I did all types of sport: hockey, netball, played touchies with the family and all that stuff. Like, I didn't see myself very different from anyone else. Then in high school, I did javelin. Started in grade 6. I was really good at it, so I was like, yeah, let's give it a try. And then I trained with a group of friends, and the one girl went to the Africa Champs, where they had a combined event with the disabled athletes. And her mother came back and told my mother, no, like, this is something you really have to look into. And yeah, from there I went. That was end of 2017. Yeah, went to Portugal for my first Paralympic event. I think I got a gold there for javelin, and came 5th or 6th in the discus. So I did it just because to do it, it was there. So I tried it. And then at the 2020 Paralympics, I did some research, noticed, okay, there's no javelin for me. So what now? I'm not good at shot put, like, my arms are a bit small for that. So, yeah, and then my coach at that time said, no, let's do discus. And yeah, that's
so did
how
you
it
literally
just
start the new sport in 2020?
Yeah, I literally started discus in 2020.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
In a span of 4 years to be able to reach the Paralympics. That is really incredible. I want to ask you a bit more about that for my selfish reasons as well. But so you were in high school Secunda as well, right?
Yeah.
And did you compete with athletics there?
Yeah.
And you competed, and did you do well?
Yeah, I was in the high team. I didn't medal, but I was definitely top 6 in javelin.
But I also did field athletics and so on. And I also didn't medal, and I had no reason, I was just not good enough.
Yeah, no, I like the competitiveness to also be a part of a sport. It's like you belong there. You have a place.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, so it was fun. At the smaller events, I did medal, like the leagues and stuff we had. But at Inter High, I never medaled. I was like top 6. But yeah, then when the friend's mother told me about it, I went to the disabled trials where I came first. I was like, okay, well, this is a bit crazy. I just showed up and I'm first. Like, how does this work? And then, so.
Do you think it's because you handled it in a way that you didn't felt different than any other person and you competed in that way as well? And then when you were actually then put back into your category, you excelled.
No, I definitely think me competing with the able bodies put me in a bit of a different league. To see how they handled the situation, got a few tips from their techniques and all that. It's helping me in a way. Still to this day, I compete with able bodies. I think it also puts pressure on me to know I have to perform now and push myself to be ready for bigger competitions. For disabled, we don't have a lot of competitions in South Africa. So if I want to compete, I have to go to Europe maybe to compete.
Yeah.
So,
and tell me, how does the funding structure and things work in South Africa? Do you get some funding from the government?
So after the Commonwealth Games in 2022, sorry, SASCOC started an OPEX program, so Operation of Excellence. So that's a program, if your name's on the list, you get funding to do training camps, to go overseas. So,
and then do they basically pay for everything?
Yeah. So let's say I went to Dubai in February. So I had to organize everything. And then I send in my claims to SASCOC and then they pay me back for everything.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's really a massive opportunity that I have here to be on this OPEX program, to be able to go internationally, to compete, to improve my world rankings. So.
How do you qualify for this OPEX program?
So they have different criteria every time, but for 2022 it was you had to compete at the Commonwealth Games, you had to end top 5. Your world rankings has to be top 8. It's just stuff like that they look at. But for every sport, it's also different. So last year we had a world champs in Paris. So after that, the OPEX program sort of stopped and they had to give out new contracts. So the qualifying for the program changed a bit. So that's also something they look at for every sport. So.
What would your advice be if, say, I wanted to start doing a sport? What do you think my approach should be, or what angle should I take? Because, I mean, if you told me, no, you've been doing discus your whole life, and now you just found that this place is where you can really perform, then I think it would be a different story. But it sounds like you developed the skills specifically for this place where you can compete.
Yeah, so if you want to start with disabled athletics now, first thing you have to look at is you have to have the right equipment. For you specific, you will need a racing chair, or a throwing chair if you want to throw. Then it's also important to have a coach or to have connections with someone in the sport to teach you all the rules, to say, listen, this is how it works. If you want to reach the Paralympics, you first have to compete internationally at a small event to get your name on the world rankings, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I've started shooting bow.
Yeah.
Because that's something nice that I can do in my yard. I don't need a lot of moving parts, because a lot of people have advised me either go play rugby. They call it murder ball.
Yeah, no, rugby in a wheelchair just looks very painful.
Yes, they hit each other full speed. It's basically bumper cars in wheelchairs. Another guy suggested to me I should start canoeing. But then I thought about the logistics of it.
Yeah.
Then I have to load a canoe onto my bakkie, drive to a lake or a dam somewhere,
Yeah.
offload it. It's not something that sounds
Yeah.
easily reachable to me.
Yeah.
So now with the bow shooting, I can literally, or archery, whatever you want to call it, I literally have a bud, like a target in my yard. I take my bow and I shoot.
Yeah,
It takes me 10 minutes to set up.
and
then
that is a
I'm-
Paralympic sport,
Yeah.
eh? So, yeah.
Now, I'm really I'm trying to think about this in a way. How can I be positive with my injury and use it to my advantage? Use it as a platform to excel. I was good in a lot of sports. I do have ball skills. I can shoot. I have quite accuracy. And now with my injury, it actually, I know I wouldn't have been able to compete like just in the standard archery.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm competitive enough to put enough time in. But I'm not dissing any disabled archers or bow shots, but I really think that I might have a chance in competing in some of these things. And I find the urge that I want to be able to be really good in something again.
Yeah, and I think what makes disabled athletics so special is that I was also not thinking when I was in grade 12, when I started with disabled athletics, I didn't think like, listen, one day I'm going to be a Paralympian going after a gold medal in that high level of competition. I was just like, okay, let's keep fit, let's do something. And that's why I did keep on doing athletics in high school. And then I got a bursary from the University of Johannesburg. And that's also why I just kept on doing athletics.
Was it for your academics or was it for sport?
It was for my sport. So I didn't think like one day I'll be aiming for the Paralympics. I was just like, okay, let's keep on doing sport for the bursary, you know. And here I am almost on the way to the Paralympics. So yeah, that's the wonderful thing of being disabled or competing disabled. So wat wil ek nou sê? Yeah, like for you, you don't have to have that 3 hours every day commitment where you train, where you will shoot bow, where you have a coach that looks after you every day to say you should eat this, you should train. Then it's just like you're fitting something different into your life, adjusting to it, practicing a bit, and then you're good to go.
I wanted to ask you about that schedule or that training regime. How do you approach that? Are you like a full-time athlete? You're still studying at the moment. Yeah. So how does that balancing act look?
Yeah, so I'm doing my master's now. So I'm doing my master's in sports management.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually quite interesting for me. So I'm looking at the different challenges Paralympians have to get to the Paralympic level. In South Africa specific. So was it sponsors they were struggling with? Was it the system? Was it financial issues? So yeah, I'm looking forward to completing that. But yeah, so I'm still a student and I do athletics on. I would not say this year it's on the side. This year athletics is my main focus.
Yeah, it sounds quite full time when you Paris and to Japan.
No. So this year I have set out the year to just basically focus on my sport. So traveling a lot, not always in the mood for academics or for training. But yeah, if you want to reach the Paralympic level, you have to put in the time.
Of course.
Yeah, so training for me, it's normally twice a day. A morning session where I will be throwing and an afternoon session maybe in the gym or doing a bit of agility work or something like that. So yeah, but it also differs a lot. So now is the Europe season. So all of them are competing. So my world rankings is dropping. So from the South Africa season, which was beginning of the year, I have to carry it through now to still compete, to keep my rankings up, and then for another 2 months where I'm aiming for the Paralympics to still compete. So it's difficult to plan out where your high should be, like where you should be on your peak performance.
Because you should look at the other countries and how they're competing and what time and so on. Because it's always a bit easier if you know in advance. If they can see your rankings, then it's a better target for them to aim at.
And I'm speaking for myself now. Like, you get tired somewhere along the line. You're like, really? Can't I just take a week off? And then you're like, no, I have a competition in 2 weeks. I have to keep on going. So yeah, especially from like November starting. So the South Africa season starts November till end of March. And then your international season starts in May. So
it's just aligned with their summer.
Yeah. So you can't really take a month off and then you go overseas and compete. So you just have to keep on going throughout the year.
Yeah, I can assume that gets quite crazy. Yeah. Tell me, with your upbringing, of course, your parents knew about your problem from the start. How did they manage that? How did they instill the right mindset into you, knowing that you are challenged?
I don't think they really did something different. They didn't handle me different from my sister. One thing I remember is I would always have operations in the winter time. So school holiday from June, July, I will always have an operation. And my grandmother used to live next to us. So they would open the wall so we can pass through. And my dad got me this small 4-wheeler bike. So I would put my cast up and I would go to my grandma and visit and come back. So
that sounds like a good excuse to get an operation.
That was definitely one of the highlights I can remember. But yeah, like they didn't handle me any different. It was like, okay, I went for an operation. They moved a bed into the living room for me so I can be a part of everything still. I went for operation, chilled a bit at home. My mother would take care of me. When the cast came off, okay, go back to school. You are ready now. Continue, play. So.
But I think that's the best way, right?
Yeah.
Because if you pet someone too much, or if you feel sorry for them, they might start feeling sorry for themselves, or they might think, there is something wrong with me, or something like that. And luckily, I didn't have to deal with that growing up, because my injury I was 28. So I had already a strong upbringing. And I think I spoke to someone about this like a couple of months back. I wonder what it is that my parents instilled in me that allows me to have had an injury and still be strong enough that I can continue. I think there is something that they instilled in me. It might be that it's not giving up, it's you're good enough, it's you're the best, you're a leader. All of those things combined, I think probably set me up to be able to deal with some adversity in life.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I got bullied a lot in school, but I had a great friend group that if someone said something bad to me, or like, my friends will always be the ones to attack them, to say, this is not like it, you can't say that, and bully them back. Like, I was just like, no, it's chilled. I never took something to the mind. Like, if someone said it, okay, I don't care what you say. Stuff like that. And one thing I remember is I went for netball trials in grade 4, and the teacher didn't pick me for the team. I was like, she picked someone who in my opinion couldn't catch the ball, and I was like, really? But yeah, then afterwards it sort of came out that she was afraid of my disability to put me in the team. Then I was like, if I'm the best player, just put me in the team.
Yeah.
But she was scared of my disability, that I would hurt myself or that I wouldn't be an asset to the team. But in the end, I played in her first team. Then I was
That's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, but I think it's just I never took something to the mind. Like if someone said, okay, brush it off, keep on going, and yeah, I think that is a big part of why I am so determined today, to show all the people that didn't believe in me in primary school, to show them like, listen, you said I couldn't even play netball. Look where I am today. So yeah, a lot of determination takes what we do.
That's very empowering. A chip on the shoulder is not always the best way, but it can really propel you. You either need a pulling force or a pushing force, but whatever you can find to make you achieve the things that you want to achieve is very valid. How do you work on your mental state? Because I think the competition is quite strong. I mean, you're competing on a world stage. Do you do any type of mental work? Do you do visualization? Do you do meditation? How do you think of those aspects?
So I think specifically when you travel with a team, like I recently went to Japan for the World Championship with a team. So you kind of get lost in a way. Like you want to do so much, you also want to explore, but you in your back of your mind, like, okay, I'm actually here to compete. So you have to keep focused. So after every training session, I have a book where I will write in, this is what I focused on for the training session. This is what I do. This is tips for the next training. This is tips for competition. So yeah, I will just write stuff down to remind myself when I get back there. Okay, this is the stuff I have to focus on again. And that's also part of like the mental side of it, I would say. But visualization, that happens like every day when I compete with my coach. But mentally it's definitely a factor. So in 2020 and 2022 and 2023, I struggled mentally. I was at nationals, and then my competition, her whole family, like 10 of them, came out to watch her compete, and they were sitting right behind the discus cage. And every time I will throw, they would cheer for me. I was like, what is these people doing? But never thinking, okay, they're mentally actually playing with me, like distracting me. I'm not on top of my game, and I lost that competition. And from there I was like sort of in a box or a trap. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, mentally I was not ready for competition. Even at the Commonwealth Games or the 2023 World Champs, I was struggling a lot. And then sports psychologists, they worked with me. I worked with them to work through it. And
How do you build that team, or is that given to you as soon as you are? Are you part of the South African team, and then you get things from that, like coaches and so on, or do you set that team out yourself?
So you get your own coach, but they do have, for the South Africa team, which I'm a part of, they do have resources for us that you can make use of, but I prefer to be in person. So the sports psychologist is not in Johannesburg, where I'm from.
Is it like a remote, like a Zoom call or something?
So I went to a personal one, which I just had a chat with, and after that I saw what was my mental block at the time, worked through it, and now I'm increasing my PB with every competition, which is amazing. So,
that's excellent.
Yeah.
How do you see your trajectory going forward? This wasn't a long-term plan for you. It's quite new. So now probably seeing what you're seeing with the results you're getting, how does the future look in your mind? How do you visualize the future for yourself?
So my coach passed away end of last year, Pierre Blichnout. He really saw potential in me. He kept on telling me with every training, no, one day you are going to throw the world record. You have so much potential in you. You're going to get a gold medal, all of that. So after a while, you start believing what he's telling you. Then after his passing, I got a new coach. It's also an athlete that competed with us. with able body. So yeah, Yanai Roots is now my new coach, and she's also like mentally working with me with every competition, of every practice as well, to say, no, listen, you are gonna still do big things. Paralympics is on the way. This is our goal. So yeah, now definitely I have a long-term goal, and now that I know what I'm capable of, so 2028 is also Paralympic year in Los Angeles. So definitely going for top 3 medal spot for that Paralympics. And yeah, after that we'll see what it holds. But yeah, I'll still keep climbing.
That's excellent. And tell me, till what age do the people normally compete?
So for throwing events, you can still compete when you're like 40. I have a lady that competes with me. I think she's 45 or something. And she's top 3 in the world. So I still have a long road ahead of me.
Yeah.
Now only being 24 and now learning the sport. So I still have a long way to go.
Yeah, because like with a lot of sports like rugby, you have a very small window which you are able to compete with the young guys and with the strong guys. But I can assume that in your sport, the longevity is there. You can really make this a career.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think with disabled athletics, there's not a lot of young people that come into the sport. It's more people that would have a car accident in their 30s.
People like me.
Yeah, now I'm looking for a purpose, for a place where I fit in again, and they start doing the sport. There's disabled athletics is all ages.
Yeah, that to me was also, like I mentioned earlier, it was a problem for me because you feel a bit purposeless. I always want to excel in something. I want to really be good at something. I don't like just doing something, losing the whole time. I want to put effort in and be able to perform better and to see the growth in myself. And that's funny because normally it's not only that thing that grows, it's your whole personality. Everything evolves with this thing that's happening. And that's probably where the main value lies, right?
Yeah.
Because it will affect everything in your life going forward.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody wants their disability to hold them back. To say, okay, I've been in an accident now I have a disability. So I'm just going to sit here and everybody must do stuff for me. You still want to be independent to do the stuff yourself. And you
100%.
still want to find your purpose to say, okay, I know I'm disabled now, but I can't just sit here. I want to do something. I have to do something. So,
how big of a role plays the fact that you want to be a role model for someone else going through the same thing?
Yeah, no... I don't think of myself as a role model, specifically because I'm still looking up at other role models which have done major things. So Yané Van Der Merwe, she's also a Paralympian. She has done the 400 for arm amputee. And at the last Paralympic Games, she got a gold medal. So she really changed the sport a lot. So yeah, for me as a role model, I just want to show the people that's looking up to me to say, you have a purpose. You can still do something even though you are disabled. So you don't just have to sit there. You can do it. So
you know what I think about, because it will be quite difficult for you to find someone in your vicinity that has the exact same injury as you. But you being able to persevere and have resilience, it shows someone that's maybe just going through a bad day mentally, or that is going through a breakup or going through whatever, because I think difficulties in life or challenges in life, they have the same build. They consist of the same emotions. I mean, if you have a physical disability, it makes you feel a certain way. And emotional or mental problem also makes you feel in that way. So I think you doing what you're doing and excelling in that, it allows people to think, oh, if she can do it, I can probably also do it. And I think you should always remember, even if you're young, I promise you, you're inspiring all the people. It's really. And I can promise you, your parents are inspired by you. And they are inspired by your resilience and your perseverance, being able to pursue something. And it allows them to also do the same.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people, especially coming from a small town like Secunda, a lot of the people in general would also look at me as a role model, because they see like my determination to do it every day, to keep on training, and ja, ek weet nie wat ek nou wou gesê het nie.
But I think it's a really strong asset that you are allowed to have because of trials that you've gone through. And I think another thing that you should remember, people tell me a lot, yes, like you're doing so well and you're so strong and all of this. And it's not always that. But I do feel I'm put in a position to be able to show my personality, to be able to show who I really am. And I think it's because going through difficulties, that really shows who you are. And that shows your personality. And that is a big responsibility and also honor in having that, that potential.
Yeah, so I think for me, coming from a small town like Secunda and Trichardt, it's always great for me to go back home and I will just walk in Discam and a Tannie will stop me and say, "Are you that girl? Oh, well done. I'm so proud of you. I'm learning so much from you." Then I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm not used to that attention and all that. And the schools also invited me to be the motivational speaker or something like that. It's like a big honor for me to say, like, I'm just one of the kids sitting here. I'm the same as you.
Yeah.
So it's just I have a bit of a different mindset to say this is my goal and I'm going after it with everything that I have. And I think also what's important for me is in the small town and there's one girl in a wheelchair from a car accident, to teach her about disabled sports, to say this is all the different sports. Like, I know you can't be a part of any school sports, but there's a whole world besides school sports. And she's involved in wheelchair tennis now and really loving it. So that, getting goosebumps here, but keep on growing this sport. That is also what's important for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think the impact is a lot bigger than you can think. It's really, it impacts a lot of people going forward. And that is beautiful that you do that. A lot of the times think of my accident or my injury as a platform. I was also invited to do a motivational talk at father and son's evening. Why? Because I had an accident, but it gives me, I wouldn't have been invited if I didn't have the accident. The accident was the potential to show what I can really do. And people love that story. I've spoken a lot about this. They call it the hero's journey. You want the fall and then the rise.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear about the rich kid who had everything happen according to the book. Everything was great his whole life. No one likes that story.
Yeah.
They want to hear the fall and then the rise again. And that's inspiring.
Yeah, and it's like you said, your disability opened the doors for you. It's the same for me. I think if I didn't have the disability, the chances of me getting a bursary at university was very slim. And the opportunity for me to travel the world was also very slim. So sport has allowed me to do that stuff that I would never imagine myself doing. So,
and the thing is, it's not a signed contract. Get a disability and then you're sorted.
Yeah,
because the only thing it does is it gives the potential. There's a potential for a successful story. And then it still lies with you. Now you need to develop the story.
Yeah,
you need to put in the work and the time.
Yeah, that's 100% true. You have to have that determination in you, that thrive to say, okay, I have the disability now. I want to get a gold medal at nationals or at the Paralympic Games. So, yeah.
I think it's a really beautiful story. What is the morale like? I don't know, do you guys, all of you guys stay in like a big hotel? Then of course you get to socialize with all these people you're competing against. Yeah. What is the standard morale of everyone?
So I think within disabled athletics, we are really like a family. So I know the able-bodied athletes, all of them go their own way. But for disabled athletics, like we really stay connected and together. So, they call me the tour guide of the team. So I don't just like sitting in a hotel room, just chilling there. Okay, it's lunchtime, go eat, come back. Okay, supper, let's go eat, come back. I like to explore, to do different things, and I will always invite people to come with me because I know they want to. And even with this Japan trip, I got a lot of messages say, when you go exploring, please just let me know. I want to come with. It's like, you can explore on your own as well. You don't have to wait for me to go with you. But yeah, like definitely for the disabled, we are like a family. And I know if someone competes, like 3 or 4 of the other athletes will go and watch and cheer you on. Where with able body, I don't get that same camaraderie, if you want to say.
It's a lot more cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's just competing.
We are very chill. Like the night before for World Champs now in Japan, the one girl was competing and she said to me, her pre-race meal is always pizza. I was like, okay, let's go out for pizza. Why not? And I think 15 of the team, almost the whole team went to go get pizza that night. Just sat in a restaurant, just chatting, forget about the stress for a little while, just enjoying the time. And then we went back to the hotel and the next day she competed. So yeah, dis regtig lekker.
That's beautiful. It really sounds nice. I'm actually quite envious of that type of thing. I really miss like sports tours from school. And that was something that I didn't like back then. But you don't get chance to do those types of things. Well, I didn't have chance to do that type of things after school. And I miss that. I wanna do something similar to that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I also miss the whole trip in the bus, going to the events and all that. But at the University of Johannesburg now, we are a big group of disabled athletes. So we go to nationals. That's like a group trip we do every year. So at the beginning, at 2019, I think we were only 3 disabled athletes. So it was still fun, but it was not like...
Yeah, it was not big enough to
I
really
want
be
more
social.
people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we are now almost 15 athletes. So the trip is quite big and I love it. So I learn something new from each of the athletes that goes. And also me as a thrower, I coach a lot of the athletes as well in the sitting throwing now. So it's also fun for them to see me as a role model going to the Paralympics, and now I'm coaching them, giving them tips, and you can really see how they sit there and every word that I'm saying, they're like just taking it in. Okay, give me more. I want more tips. So I love traveling in a team. So
yeah, and I think also the training aspect, you learn a lot yourself by teaching someone something, right?
Yeah.
It really does grow you as a person when you're trying to teach someone something, and having the patience and the communication to really try and teach someone in a loving way. And I think that is like a skill that can be developed, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I didn't see myself as a coach in any way, but I studied my undergrad in sports development. There was a year that I had to do practical hours where I had to coach or work at like netball events or athletic events. So there's a disabled school close to the university, and I said, okay, I'm a thrower. I don't know a lot about coaching, but I know a lot about the sport. So let me coach your athletes. And that is why I fell in love with the coaching. You have to, like, for the different athletes, you have to explain everything in a different way because they catch on in different ways.
Yeah.
So that is also what makes coaching for me so fun. Yeah, and now I'm coaching a primary school group of like 20 kids almost, and teaching them all the knowledge that I have. So,
and they probably feel really honored to have this professional athlete teach them.
Yeah, so Kyle Blichnout, he used to coach the kids. He's also an Olympian in shot put. But he now has the opportunity to travel overseas a lot. So he's like, okay, no, I'm passing them on to you. So, yeah, I think for the athletes also, they have 2 big role models. they look up to, or 3. My coach also helps me coach them a lot. So yeah, it drives them also to say, okay, now one day I want to be like you. I'm working hard. Yeah, it's really funny for me because let's say I give them 3 sets of stairs they have to do. After the 3rd one, they're like, no, I'm so tired. And I'm like, no, I, as a professional athlete, would do 5. And then some of the kids will do 2 more. So,
trying to impress you.
yeah.
Yes, yeah. I remember when I first got injured, a guy came to visit me in the hospital in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And I really didn't actually want to
Yeah.
see him. But he came, welcome to the club. I said, I don't want to be part of your club. And he's like, it's a little bit late for that. You're in it. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to be associated with being broken or being disabled. And that was probably just like the acceptance phase that has not yet set in the start. But I do feel more comfortable with that going forward. But it is still a bit difficult. I mean, most of my interactions every day are with able-bodied people. And unlike your injury, everyone can see my disability.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. So it is sometimes difficult to sit with. And I think I've dealt with that a bit better over time, meeting other people and seeing how they see themselves. Seeing that they don't see themselves as different. They just don't walk, they sit. And that allowed me to think differently about myself as well. And I can just think being in that group with the bunch of athletes who are all a bit different in their own way, all broken in their own way, challenged in their own way, and still finding a way to be positive and be motivational towards themselves and to others. And I just think that is beautiful. It's such a beautiful environment to be in. I think like anyone, even not having a disability, would gain so much from just hanging out with those people.
Yeah, no, disabled athletes definitely have a different look on life than normal people. I know it's really funny for me actually how the blind, the visually impaired athletes joke around with their disability. So
do they like prank each other?
And like I know a lot of the visually impaired athletes that travel with us, like they can't see at night. So I know this one time the one blind guy lived with or shared a room with an able-bodied athlete or with a not visually impaired athlete, and then this athlete moved the room around a bit and this guy just walked in because they count their steps and know where's what.
Yeah, and they count on the memory.
Yeah. He stomped his feet against everything, and it's funny how like even in the group setting we will joke around to say no but I know this visually impaired athlete took the papers and he's like, I can't even see the papers, why will I take them? All that stuff. So definitely you feel more comfortable with your disability after hearing all the jokes.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's also nice if someone just steps lightly around you because you're different, you feel like an outsider.
Just
you
stop,
want
please.
to be part of it. You prank me as well. Call me some names. Make a joke. That's fine. I want to be part of that.
No, it is definitely in that way. If someone walks on eggshells around me, I'm like, okay, this is my small leg. Touch it if you want to. Just get over it, please. I don't like to be treated any different than anybody else. It makes you feel like an outsider, like you don't want to be there in that situation.
Yeah. And I think by us saying that, it allows people to realize, okay, I don't have to be weird about it. I don't have to not mention it, but I don't. It's actually better to mention it. Yes, I have this problem or disability, but I don't mind. Do you mind?
Yeah,
probably not.
That's also a big thing for me. Is like you immediately get the sense that someone is wondering about your disability when you walk into a room. Like someone is checking out my legs the whole time, and I'm like, just ask me something, just tell me something. If you want to know the story, I'm more than happy to tell you. But don't just stand there the whole night or the whole day and wonder, okay, what happened to her leg now? And keep staring. Just ask me, I'll tell you, you can move on.
Yeah.
So actually this one time, we went on matric vacation and we were a big group, I think of 10 people. And obviously you make friends as you go. And this one guy asked me what happened to my leg. I told him, no, it was a shark attack. And at the end, he still believed me it was a shark attack because we went swimming the next day and I was like, no, I'm not getting into the ocean. He's like, oh, are you still afraid of sharks? I'm like, no. So, yeah, it's, yeah.
Yeah, I also like to have fun of it. I've told some people that I went parachuting and the parachute didn't open. So I landed on my feet and then just everything broke.
Yeah.
You can get some crazy stories from that.
No, definitely.
What do you think is the biggest misperception that people have about the Paralympics or para-athletes?
I'm not sure as an athlete myself. I'm not really sure, but I think it's misunderstanding the disabilities. So I know a lot of people watch the Olympics, but they don't watch the Paralympics. Maybe because they don't understand the situation of the Paralympics to see, understand the different classes or stuff like that. But in the end, the Paralympics bring back the medals. The Olympics don't bring back the medals. It's hard to say, but it's something to this day that the media don't cover. So in the Tokyo Paralympics and Olympics now, the Olympics brought back 3 medals. I think it was 1 gold and 2 silvers. Where the Paralympics brought back 7 medals. I think 3 were gold and the rest was silver. So you don't hear anybody speak about that. So
and we're actually performing very well. Yeah, I think just publicity is what we need and information. Yeah. I think when people hear your story in this format or any other, that might trigger them to think, yes, like when she's performing next time, I'm going to watch.
Yeah, that is a big thing, is social media not getting the advertising or not getting the sponsors or stuff like that. It is mainly because they don't show as lot of the disabled as the abled. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe less marketable because I think people are afraid. They don't want it to look like they're making fun of anyone, and they're really careful what they promote or what they sell or what they say.
No, I definitely think it's like something like that.
What would you say to someone? What advice would you give to someone who want to follow in your footsteps, who want to do something similar that you have done?
Yeah, I think first, just get involved in the sport. Get your event you are strong in. Go to nationals, compete internationally, see where your world ranking is. Is this event at the Paralympics, or maybe you have to start doing a different event? I think that's the first thing, to just get started in disabled athletics.
Try some things.
Yeah, and don't be afraid. I mean, this one time I did the 100 meters, never again, but I lost a bet and I had to do it because this coach said, no, I'll definitely be good in 100 meters because of my build. I was like, no, I don't run. I'm not a fan. And then I did the 100 meters. Turns out I don't like it and I'm not good at it. So it's fine if I don't continue with it. But
you tried at least.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah. Even though it didn't go well, I came last. It's fine. But don't be afraid to try. Even if you come last, you tried. Okay, I don't like it. Move on to the next one. If you like long jump and your event is at the Paralympics, great. Get a coach. Speak to some people within the sport to get your name out there, and you're good to go.
I just had an idea for an event at the Paralympics. What about a long jump in a wheelchair, where they just put a bit of a ramp and you jump into like a foam pit or something? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. Yeah.
There's this guy. You know, I'm a lot more into extreme sports than the traditional sports.
Yeah.
But there's a guy that performs with nitro circuits. It's the guys that do the motorcycle flips and everything. His name is Aaron Wheels. He's in a wheelchair, and he does the same big ramps where they jump like 40 meters, and he does flips, everything on his wheelchair. It's really crazy. But I think the injuries that guy gets, I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
And my wife doesn't want to deal with that either.
But that sounds really crazy. I have to look him up a bit to see.
There's a lot of guys. There's another documentary that, yes, it was quite emotional for me to watch, but the documentary's name is Full Circle.
Okay.
It's about a snowboarder, and he went like off route, and he tried doing a backflip or something, and he fell and he broke his back, and then he became a sit skier. So they put you on a ski in a seat, and that guy he's pushing the boundary so far for that sport. He went back to the exact same spot and did a double backflip on a sit ski. That guy is crazy, but it's so inspiring to watch, because he's not doing something that someone else has did that he saw. He's creating it.
Yeah.
He's creating it as he goes. He's building the plane while flying it. And that was really inspiring to me. Looking, it might be uncomfortable. You might look silly or foolish a bit, but just do it. Just do it. It's so rewarding when it works out.
Yeah, there's also a movie that they made, or documentary, about, I think, 4 Paralympians. It's Rising Phoenix. I know it was on Netflix. I'm not sure if it was still there. But one of South Africa's Paralympians, Ntando, he was on the movie, or in the movie. It's also amazing, his story. So Johan Snyder's, he has a prosthetics clinic here somewhere in Pretoria. So he went literally to
get a prosthetics built.
To get the athlete out of the house.
Yeah.
To say, here's your opportunity. Here's legs for you. Start doing the sport. And he did everything until he found what he loved. He loved 400 and long jump. And he's one of the athletes in the Tokyo Paralympics that I think got 2 gold medals. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's crazy to see. Okay, I'm taking this athlete. Come stay with me. I've got coaches. I've got all the resources you will possibly need to be the best in the world.
Here's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that's what most people just need. They just need a little bit of a push and opportunity, and then they can excel.
Yeah.
Yanai, this was a beautiful chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to speak to me. I appreciate it. I appreciate your insight, and I will be watching your events.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best. And 2028, bringing a medal home.
Definitely.
We'll be cheering you on.
Thank you so much.